Hey guys, I'm Jay Randall. Welcome back to my channel where I discuss wisdom for the modern man. Thank you guys for tuning in to another live stream. Today, guys, I got another video to react to. Now, I came across this video just randomly. It's from a very extremely popular YouTube channel, Diary of a CEO. I believe the video actually dropped yesterday. And it looked interesting, so I decided to just click on it, and it is a dating coach. I think she's like a relationship coach or a dating coach or a sex expert actually. And she is just giving her perspective on dating relationships. Now, I wanted to watch a little bit of the video to see if I even wanted to, react to it. So I watched about 5 or 10 minutes, I think, maybe 15, to see if I was interested in what she had to say. And she had some pretty interesting, talking points. So I thought it would be interesting for us to watch the rest of the video together and react to what she had to say in real time. I'm a fan of his channel. He actually interviews the Diary of a CEO. He interviews some really interesting people. And so today we are going to react to this video and see what she has to say on the topic of dating and relationships. Now, if you guys are coming into the stream, I'd really appreciate if you guys liked the video. Please, it really helps with the engagement. I'm trying to live stream almost every day. That's my goal, is live stream at least 5 days a week, on top of posting other content. So I really appreciate your guys' support with that. So like the video, comment down below, engage with the live stream. I'd really appreciate that. And subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Actually, it was pretty a pretty interesting thing happened the other day. I made the video, the live stream, where I was reacting to an interview of the host of the It's Complicated channel. And so I made that reaction video, and then I believe it was the next day, I'm like laying in bed, just like doing some stuff on my phone, and I just see like a notification that I got like a comment, and it's actually like the host of the whatever podcast, not whatever podcast, totally got that wrong. It was the creator of the It's Complicated channel, commented on my video. Was not expecting that, commented on my video, and then he like subscribed to my Instagram. So that was pretty cool to have that happen right after I made the video. So yeah, guys, you never know who you're going to reach. You never know. He's like a way bigger channel. And, I haven't even cracked 1,000 yet, and, got noticed. So, that's just a little example for anybody out there still making YouTube videos. You never know who's watching. You really never know. But anyways, we're going to get into the video for today. Like I said, though, if you guys are coming into to the live stream, do me a favor, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Ooh, not the right screen. Okay.
Esther, with all that you know, and with all that you study, and with all that you research and write about and think about, what is it that concerns you most? What is front of mind for you when you think about mating and dating and human connection?
What concerns me most, I think, is the fact that there is a unique moment in history at this moment where we are redesigning our communication, our big questions, but specifically in the realm of relationships, it's social atrophy. I think we are losing social skills.
And the word atrophy, for anyone that doesn't know, is
atrophy
decay.
is when you don't use muscles, they go numb. Social atrophy is when you no longer know how to speak to people.
And what is the cost of that? If we do lose that social ability to connect and to have happenstance, what price do we pay? Why does life get harder, and how does it get harder?
Because we are social creatures. We are wired for connection. If we live longer because we are connected. We don't live longer because we are master biohackers. We need those connections. They are just literally vital to us. So It's not that we have replaced this, and our skills are still honed in. We don't. We have less and less opportunities to practice. If you do sports and you don't practice your sport, you wouldn't be asking me what is the price. You would know that if you don't play and it's been years of not playing, then that thing is out of your life, done. But you can do other things, whereas you can't live without connection.
So many people are really dissatisfied with the choices they have for connection. Now, I'm sure we're all to blame, but when I scroll through my feed on social media, one of the things I've seen lately, I saw it just before you arrived and also a couple of days ago, was people so angry at dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got friends close to me who are furious that their only apparent option to meet someone these days
That's not
appears to
true.
be...
Go outside, go walk your dog, go run, go with meet people. I mean, you create situations. It's not, where are the available situations? Where are the options for meeting people? You create options. You're at a coffee shop, you're ordering a coffee, ask the person next to you if you can offer them one. Can do something that actually invites relatedness. And I know the anger at the app. I get that, I'm actually quite connected to this whole world of dating apps. But I think that it's a tool. Use it, but don't make it become the replacement for the multitudes of situations. Yesterday, I sat on a plane. I spoke for 3 hours with 2 people just because there was no Wi-Fi. It was just an amazing conversation.
That's so true. Like, we've really are losing the skill set of communication with one another because we're always on our phones. I mean, there's going to the grocery store, and there was a line. There was a long line, and I just remember, like, I'm surrounded by people, but not a single soul is communicating with them. Like, everybody was just on their phone. Whenever, like, there's the slightest downtime, with humans, we don't turn to one another anymore and say, hey, how's your day? Hey, what's going on? Hey, I like this. I like your shoes. I like your No, it's just straight to the phone. The slightest downtime, the slightest delay in life, or, it's just time to pick up the phone. It's almost weird to spark up a random conversation with a stranger. It's out of the norm. And that's why I believe people are just losing that social skill. Like, if you don't have a job that really makes you talk to people and conversate with people, you are just going to feel like really out of it. Now, me, I spent a large part of my early 20s just, cold approaching. So I got like really good and comfortable with like talking to strangers. So I guess I've trained my muscle more than most people have. But like and at my job, I have to talk to people every day, like in-depth conversations and stuff like that. So I guess my muscle still is active, but I know the people around me, it's weird. It's weird for them.
And all of us, at the moment we landed, said to each other, wow, if we had Wi-Fi, we wouldn't have talked to each other one bit or 5 minutes and then be done with this. Mm-hmm. It's all there. We used to always talk to people. And I think if you just rely on the app, you will go through a loop. You'll go on it. You'll swipe. You'll respond with the least amount of effort possible because you've so burned out already from doing this that you don't really want to give much of yourself. If you don't give much of yourself, you're not going to get the kind of responses that you want. Then you're going to get frustrated because you don't get matched with anybody, but you don't look at your own laziness that is not particularly invited for someone to actually want to match with you. And then you say, now I'm tired of this. So now you get off the app for 6 months. You take a break. You say, I'm done with the apps. And then 6 months later, you say, I don't want to meet someone. And what do? You go back on the app instead of thinking of the multitudes of situations where you can actually really meet people. And it's become so weird to talk to somebody. You know, you can sit next to someone and, at the counter, and it's like you're a weirdo if you start talking to me. Instead of, why
Exactly.
not?
Because even in the situation of your
Exactly.
plane ride, if there
Yeah.
had been Wi-Fi, those people wouldn't have wanted to talk to you. So really, regardless of your attempt, you would have been met with, rejection to some degree, social rejection. Like if
Maybe, but the original app, if you really want to understand the gamification of that, it was really done as a way to not have to put yourself out and have to deal with rejection. But rejection is a major feature of relationships. Learning to live with.
Yeah, not. It's a major feature of relationships for men. I don't think women. Well, I know women don't really experience rejection like that. For the few who do,
People who
for the few who do approach, comes to a woman approaching a guy or even a woman approaching another woman, men mainly have to deal with rejection. So I don't think it's for everyone. It's particularly men.
say no to us is essential.
Have you heard this story of the guy who tracked his Tinder swipes? And the story is that he swiped 2 million times to get one date. And you can kind of see, this is him here.
I think I watched
This is
this
the image
video
of
actually.
the swipe. So it says, this guy swiped 2,058,000 times. He got 2,000 matches from that, which turned into 1,200 chats, which turned into one date.
Damn.
Such a system is failing a huge percentage of people.
Oh
This is the chat.
man, that looks
what app?
terrible.
On Tinder, I believe it was. This is here he is. I'll put him on the screen so everyone can see.
He's not even a bad looking guy. Like, I see thousands of people a day at my job, and literally I see dudes way worse because he's not even bad, but I see dudes way lower on the attraction scale with women every single day. Good looking women too. So it's not even the fact that he's unattractive, and he might even have a great personality. He obviously has hobbies. Now, guys, as much as I know you guys love fishing, don't do the fish photo. Please don't do the fish photo. Girls really do not like the fish photo. But, it's good to have hobbies. I think if you let a girl know that you're into fishing, like in person, it's different than when they see the fish photo. I don't know. Studies show that it turns them off. But I think if you told them in person, yeah, I like to go fishing, in my downtime, it hits different. So, yeah. But not a bad looking guy. Doesn't look weird. Photos look normal. But yeah. Took him that many swipes, that many conversations to get one date. If that isn't a very clear sign that dating apps are failing people, specifically men, I mean, I don't know what is. I have personal friends who I will bring up, I like to get people's opinions on dating and relationships, so I'll very subtly bring up the topic of dating in certain aspects, and the topic of dating apps came up. So I took it as an opportunity to ask the guys I was working with at the time if they use dating apps, and they were just like, no. And I remember one of the things that stood out to me was one of the guys was like, yeah, it's depressing, bro. Like, I had to get off of it for like my mental health. And I was like, well, why is that? And he proceeds to explain to me, he's like, bro, like I would get on it and I would get no matches. Like something was broken. And I was like, so I'd keep swiping and then nothing. And then I would change my photos and then nothing. And then maybe I'd get like one match, but she was either a bot or like some super overweight, unattractive chick. And then even she wouldn't respond to my text message. And he was like, yeah, it was just bad for my mental health. So I just deleted the app. Never been on since. And I've heard a version of that story from so many men where they just don't use it. Like if they're not past a certain attractiveness, threshold, they're just not going to use the apps because it's just really bad for their self-esteem and mental health. And I can understand that because I at one point was there, and figure out dating apps, and I did. And I got to the point where girls were messaging me. I'm I'm in a relationship now, but man, dating was fantastic before I got into a relationship. But for most guys, they don't have the dedication or the determination or can even just stick with it that long, you know, after it's just such a slap to your face that, and I know they're seeing my profile and they just no. And it's a blow because it's just off of physical. It's just the physical. So a lot of guys just end up feeling ugly and they just like, yeah, no, I'd rather just not go through this level of rejection every time I open up my phone.
And you can kind of see the photos that he led with on his dating profile. He probably shouldn't be holding a massive fish. I'm not sure many women are into that. But
Oh, he's got the fish picture. Yes, yes.
for people like him, what's the honest advice that someone like him needs? Because clearly dating apps aren't going to work for him, which is a lot of us, from what I
Well,
read.
how many hours? He should also have put on the amount of hours that
Oh,
he
yeah, it
spent.
does have that. So it
He
has
has
the
the
analytics.
hours too?
So it has the amount of time he's been a member of the apps.
Right.
Just over 5 years, almost 6 years.
Yes. I mean, the first thing, if you sat in my office and you told me this, I would not spend my time discussing what you're doing on the app. I would discuss what you're doing off the app, and if you ever are even off the app. I mean, have you, the amount of hours of swiping that you've done, obviously this is not yielding anything. Why are you continuing? 5 years is an enormous amount of time in your life. I feel sad for you. You know, have you tried any other ways? Have you been with your friends? Do you have friends? Have your friends introduced you to people? Have you gone to places where you are more likely to meet people? I don't know what you're interested in, but if you fishing is one of those things, you know, maybe even at the fish market you could meet. But I mean, more of it isn't going to give you more of it. It's just going to make you more frustrated.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, guys, like if you're watching this, man, you can't hand over your dating life to like an algorithm, to an app. You got to remember that these people are hell bent, like their whole purpose is to make money off of you. And they make money off the men. You are the market. Usually the woman is the market, but men, you're the market. So in this particular case, when it comes to dating apps, so the people are trying to keep you on the app. Like, in almost all these apps, they have a feature where it's like they lock certain matches behind a paywall. So they'll boost your profile for maybe a day or a couple of hours, maybe half a day, to the point where maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 girls will like your profile, and then they like have it like, you know, fogged out where you can't see their picture, and they're saying like, you know, subscribe to Tinder Plus or Tinder Gold to be able to see your matches. And you'll be there swiping forever, hoping you'll naturally just, you know, match with the people who matched with you, but they'll never allow you to match with them until you pay for it. And then a lot of these people, a lot of these apps, I believe what they do is the ones they say you matched with aren't even real. I think it's like their own fake profiles to just entice you to pay for it, because they know you're frustrated with swiping and not getting any results, that let me just at least pay for the matches that I already have. And then that never goes anywhere. So you just wasted your money on matches that weren't even real. Like it's such a scam. Like I could teach you guys like what to do to like get your dating app, your dating profile on these apps up to par, but you can't hand over your life to that. Like I didn't even do that. I was still cold approaching. I was still meeting people in public. Dating apps was just like something on the side, you know? But if you hand over your life to it, you're screwed, bro. You got to approach people in public. And I know a lot of guys, there's like a whole movement right now of like, we're done approaching. And trust me, I get that. I get the reason behind it, and some of it's valid, but you have to understand that it's a double-edged sword, because if you don't approach, dating apps are your only choice, and dating apps are like, for men, are the worst. So you're kind of you're shooting yourself in the foot. I understand why, but at the same time, you got to find some balance there. You don't have to approach everybody, but you still got to approach.
So if you were sat down with him,
There's a rigidity to this. It's like, what are you trying to prove? You know, try something else. If you're trying to park in a space that you can't get in, at some point, don't you go look for another space?
is there an element of this where, you know, from what I heard from dating apps, there's only a small percentage of men that could basically get all the opportunity? If I'll put the numbers on the screen, but
Yeah, I know the whole,
yeah,
yes.
and a large proportion of women get lots of opportunity because lots of men swipe for.
But opportunity for what? To be swiped? Does that mean, and then what?
Well, the answer to that is opportunity for sex. It's sex because the main thing that sells on dating apps is sex appeal. It's not personality, it's not character, it's not anything of substance. It's just like, this person looks attractive, I would sleep with them. Like, that's really what's happening. It's not like, oh, this person looks interesting. Oh, he has an interesting, bio. No, it's like, okay, is he attractive enough or she attractive enough to where I could see myself having sex with this person? And if the answer is yes, then I'll swipe right. If it's no, then I'll swipe left. That's what it comes down to. So when people are on the apps, and I tell men all the time, and they're putting in they're taking all these wholesome photos, like the picture they just showed with the guy, wholesome photos. Nice guy, decently dressed, good lighting, showing a hobby. He just looks like a wholesome, good, well-rounded guy. And you think that's enough because you think that looking normal, looking regular, looking like a normal dude, you think that's going to work. No. You need to show sex appeal. Now, women will say, this is the opposite. We want to see, no, dude. Muscles, you want to showcase status, showcase some wealth. You want to showcase an interesting hobby, an active hobby. One, maybe you playing a sport, or you showing off a skill set. Like, I have videos or pictures of me playing the guitar. It's like a skill set that I have. Or skateboarding. Maybe you know how to do some cool tricks on the skateboard or something like that. That stuff, it's sex appeal. You have a good physique, man. Bro, I wouldn't even use dating apps if I didn't have a good physique. Unless I had a 8 out of 10 face. Bro, you gotta have a good physique, bro. Shirtless photos, oh my gosh, bro. It will absolutely get you results. But just like the wholesome photos, looking like a regular, good, normal, chill dude, it's not gonna get you far. You gotta showcase sex appeal on dating apps. Otherwise, you're cooked.
The main thing is, can we have a conversation? I try to get the best. I try to shop. I try to maximize my chances. But fundamentally, the app originally was broadening your circle. It gave you the opportunity to meet people that you would otherwise not meet. There was something very beautiful about that. From that, it became a commodification. People treat each other like shit. People ghost each other left and right. People tell each other things and then disappear.
Yeah.
People don't have to say, I'm not interested in seeing you again. They just close the shop. And the misery is not because they haven't met someone. The misery is the treatment that this kind of semi-anonymity enables you. You don't have to be polite anymore. You don't have to treat people with minimum decency.
You don't have to treat them like they're human. You treat them like they're a picture on a screen. You lose, like it's just a photo. You forget there's a human with a heartbeat, with emotions, behind all that. It dehumanizes the dating process and makes it very mechanical. And so ghosting is no different than deleting a photo and moving on to the next. It's interesting.
And that's what hurts people. That makes people things like that.
It's part of the challenge that I have so many apparent options now as someone on these dating apps. It's kind of like going to when you go to Asia or Thailand and you get the menu, and that menu is so big, they'll make anything you want. So of so many other things you could have had, so it's less special, it's less scarce. And in a world of Instagram and dating apps, it appears that I have 100,000 options.
Yes, it appears that you have many options, and it appears that you have a paradox of choice, and it appears that you constantly are dealing with the FOMO of what else is around the corner. But the interesting thing is, when I work with people, I spend a lot of time reading what they actually post. People in what you say, but hey, what's up? Wanna hang? Is that giving you any energy in your body?
No.
Okay, I mean, this is half the messages. I'm watching, I'm chilling. Okay, well, keep chilling. It's like, where is the energy? Where, there's something about called flirting, attracting someone, showing an interest, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's true, but the burden is almost entirely on the guy. Like, it's the man who's receiving these dry conversations. Like, men actually try. Like, every guy who's used a dating app knows this. Like, you'll be texting the girl, trying to spark up interesting conversation, trying to ask her interesting questions, and she'll be giving you these dry answers. Those chicks, bro, I have no problem just like, all right, next, delete their profile, just move on to the next chick, bro. I did then engage. And the ones who aren't interested in you will engage. But guys are the ones who have to deal with that. They'll be, asking questions, and the girl will just be giving them these just one-word answers or very limited responses. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I would say need to, step up their game when it comes to communication and meet men halfway. Now, have men kind of, like I said, men are starting to care less and less because the dating game has just been so rigged against them. So yeah, men are, I would say, putting in less effort when it comes to texting and stuff, at least from what I'm hearing from the women's side, because I listen to both sides, and they're just not putting in much effort. But that's because they feel burnt out. So in an attempt to not feel burnt out, they just pull back on the effort. And women are starting to feel that now. Now that they realize how valuable that effort was, now they want men to put forth it. But men are like, no. I need you to show me it's worth putting in that much effort. And I think women, if they show men that, then maybe the scales will, balance themselves.
Show interest. I saw something in your picture. I'm wondering, if we went to listen to music, what's the first band we would go to listen to? Mm-hmm. Something that says you are a person with a life, with interest, with curiosity. Show curiosity. It's probably the first thing that you do when you are drawn to somebody.
I guess if I've been rejected so much, as you said, I've been kind of demoralized. The energy's been taken out of me. So now it's just become this sort of cycle of just
Well, then
nothing.
don't do it. Then do something else for a while. Don't stay in that pattern. It's really depleting. But the thing about the choice is that we also are living surrounded by algorithmic perfections and predictive technologies that are trying to deliver us always, on demand, delivery of our every delight, always on, without any friction.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
no human
creating
interaction.
Warped expectations that we bring to our relationships. That very same expectation for perfection and for sycophantic responses, So the more we are interacting with AIs and the more we are receiving a different kind of response, the more challenging it will be for us to actually deal with real people and to face what you call rejection. Not every refusal is a rejection. I mean, this guy didn't write how many times he wasn't interested. He only tells you what's happening to him. He gives you the victim story. It's a statement of, this thing doesn't work for me, and men don't get answered on the app, and you get this whole plight, but there's no context. I can't give you and I don't think anybody should actually respond to this without knowing all these other details.
Okay, I disagree with her on that. I mean, the data's out, right? We've seen this countless times. There's been countless, dating app studies. There's been countless dating app experiments. Maybe one day I'll react to one of these dating app experiments. But then again, I don't I would do it for just the information purposes, but a lot of men are already bummed out about it, and I don't want to make them more depressed. But the data's out, bro. It is, his experience is the average guy's. That's not out of the ordinary. We don't need any more context than that. I've experienced it before. Millions of men experienced it before. That is the average guy's experience. So no, we don't need any further context. Dating apps for most men it's just not it. It just doesn't work.
Is there an issue, when you mention men there, is there an issue that gender roles have shifted? And when we think about the plight of men, they are, I think the single biggest killer of men over the age of 45 is themselves. And the gender roles have shifted so much that often men have less purpose, feelings of purpose and worth now than they used to have. Women and men have gotten closer to a point of financial equality. They've gotten closer than the past, which now kind of also means that the role of a man, if we think historically, is less clear than the role of a man maybe 50, 100 years ago.
To understand masculinity, you have to understand the broader spectrum of relationships. So relationships used to be about duty and obligation, loyalty and community. And happiness came not from what you do for yourself, but happiness came from having fulfilled your role and your mission and your obligation to the people that you owe to, your family primarily. That model is still the prevailing model in most parts of the world.
Yeah.
We shifted that model from duty and obligation to option and choice.
Happiness.
And so now we have zero clarity and a lot of freedom. And we've never been more free, but we've never been more alone and more confused and more filled with self-doubt.
Wow, that was absolutely like perfect breakdown of what's happening in society. And she's right. In other countries around the world, what she mentioned earlier, duty, responsibility, fulfilling that duty to your loved ones, to your family, to your community, that still is the staple. That is still how most places around the world operate, which is why Passport Bros is what it is. Men leaving to seek that out, to get that traditional structure back. But in the West, we have prioritized freedom and freedom and personal happiness outside of values, morality, purpose, and commitment and duty. So all those things that hold a relationship together, that one would actually derive fulfillment from, because it's not the focusing on yourself that you derive the fulfillment from. A lot of people get that wrong. Like sacrificing for someone else, when you're doing for someone else, that's where you feel that fulfillment. That's why having a family and, taking care of a family, taking care of your wife, men derive a sense of fulfillment from that. But now men and women, but mostly women, care more about their personal happiness, and they seek that out through just pouring into their own cup. And then they have this idea that if I just focus on me, then I'll be happy, and then I can, contend with the other person. No, you focus on the other person, and through doing that, you'll gain the sense of fulfillment, the sense of joy, the sense of community. And if both people in the relationship are focusing on the other, you never feel empty. You feel appreciated, you feel seen, and your contribution will always feel like it's worth it. But we've absolutely lost that. I mean, I've seen this growing up with my parents. It's just always felt like, and always seen like such a great teamwork. They always looked and spoke about how fulfilling it is. You don't see that anymore.
How long have you been working with men and women in a relationship, love, connection?
40 years.
40 years.
Yes.
So what have you seen change in the conversation around men and masculinity? Like, what are the different problems that men are talking about when they speak to you that they weren't speaking about when you started your career?
I mean, you can start with the subject of loneliness. Loneliness, which is a general societal issue at this point, is definitely a major affliction, even more so for boys and men. Men in the 19th century, men hunted together, men hiked together, men gathered together, men went to the bar together, men had conversations with other men, met, So there is nothing inherent about men that sets them up for more loneliness and isolation.
That's true.
That is really important to understand. Boys till the age of 4 and then till the age of 7 are highly emotional. They can articulate. So these are cultural phenomena. These are social developments. This is not biological. This is not intrinsic to men.
That's true.
One shift that's taken place, which I'm keen to get your perspective on, relates to sex. 1 in 3 men under 30 in the US reported no sex in the past year. That's triple the rate from 2008. Millennials and Gen Zs are having less sex than any generation since records began, despite more access to the dating apps we talked about.
Yeah.
In Japan, over 40% of young adults are virgins, and many say that they have no interest in sex. And lastly, married couples in the UK and the United States report a steady decline in sexual frequency since the early 2000s.
Yeah. I wrote about that in Mating in Captivity that came out in 2006. That's 20 years ago. Yes, because in order to have sex with a female partner, if that's the man you talk to, he is directly connected to what is often called a sexual recession.
Yeah.
I mean, in Mating 20 years ago, I have an entire chapter where someone basically says to me, I'd rather have the security of an MBA than of a relationship. Okay? And
Yeah, that is literally so many modern women's sentiment. They prefer to have their degree than a relationship. And yeah, and I think women prefer to have their degree than their relationship. Men prefer to have their peace than a relationship. Both people. So basically, essentially, the sexes are choosing opposite things, but it's resulting in the same thing. They just prefer something else other than the relationship. Now, are those reasons valid? Who knows? I think men's reason, essential to life. If you don't have peace, nothing else matters. But choosing a degree over a relationship, one can argue that that isn't like the best choice. And we see that play out with a lot of these women who are lonely, because it's not just men who are lonely. There's also women. And they speak about how I have all this money, I have a great career, fulfilling career, but I'm lonely. I come home, there's no one I can talk to, and I come home and talk about my day and my successes and my failures and my struggles. I just have this career. But that's it. And that's it. Now, men, a lot of the times, they choose peace instead of a relationship because they've done the relationship stuff. They chose that before, went down that route, and it didn't work out. And as men, we value peace. And we realize that, like I just said, without peace, nothing else matters. So we choose peace over relationships because peaceful relationships nowadays are very hard to come by.
States, it's not everywhere in the world, but certainly in the US, and where more and more going in groups and having less and less pair bonding and less romantic relationships that accompany you through your adolescence, that develop with you. And you basically develop sex as part of a plot and not as something that at some point your hormones force you to do. But a story. And now you're looking at this other person with whom you want to have sex, and it's like this unknown continent that you have to conquer. But you've never spoken with those people. You have very little female friends who are just, there's an entire social map that has dissipated. So the sex is the last thing on the list of all these disconnects that then, of course, lead you to have this kind of statistic. Then that means with partners, they have plenty of sex, maybe with themselves and others, but it's partnered sex here that is involved, right? They have sex on porn. They have sex. They don't have partner sex, Do you understand when I say to you, you can add that to your statistics too, that the majority of men who come to sex therapy today for erectile dysfunctions are young men in their 20s. Not old men after prostate issues.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. I believe her. I do believe her. Wow. I mean, the amount of young men, really young men who are like extremely addicted to pornography. I believe her, bro. Like They literally they jerk off all day. Like the amount of men who've admitted to me that they have a pornography addiction. It's amazing how men are so just open with that struggle. Like they'll admit it to you. They struggle with it. I think it's because they assume other men are experiencing the same thing, which I would say most are. I'm not, but it's insane. So yeah, if you jerk off all day, and then I've had guys admit to me like it's a problem to where I can't even now get turned on by my girlfriend. I prefer, I can't wait till the sex with her is done so I can like take my phone and go into the bathroom and get a much more fulfilling release. And they even admit to me, no, it's not her. It's just, bro, I have a problem. It's them. Another guy admitted to me that he watches it multiple times a day, like at least 5 times a day. And sometimes he doesn't even do it for like sexual purposes, just to watch it, like as if he's watching a YouTube video or a movie, just for entertainment purposes. It's a problem, bro. That is going to mess up a man's libido, mess up the way he relates to sex, and what stimulates him and what doesn't. And once you go down the pornography rabbit hole, it takes more extreme things to like stimulate you. And then you get a real girl in front of you who isn't these like, made up models covered in makeup and all this filtering, all this augmentation. You get a real girl in front of you who does have flaws and who isn't, 100% perfect. And you're like, how am I supposed to perform with this? So I can totally see young men in their 20s struggling with ED with the amount of pornography consumption.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because they spend an enormous amount of time with themselves.
Watching porn and masturbating?
Yes.
Yep.
Because in order to be able to maintain erections with a partner, it's an attunement, right? It's a resonance. It's grooving together. But if you've always just been by yourself, then you only know how to kind of be connected to your own physiological responses.
I've worried about this before. I've worried that if I watch pornography, that I will like desensitize myself to the real thing.
Depends how much. Depends if what else is in your life. I mean, it's not an all or nothing thing. But what I'm saying is social atrophy, the gradual disconnect of the multiple touch points between people leads to then the challenges that are also sexual, leads to the kind of social isolation, leads to people confusing friends and friendships, so they can have 1,000 virtual friends but no one to feed their cat. It's prescription at the pharmacy. Who may pick me up at the airport? Who will go check on someone I care about if I happen to not be there? Yes, who?
Yep, but you have thousands of people on Instagram. Got a bunch of people on Facebook, a bunch of subscribers on TikTok. But do those people know you? Do they care if you're going through a struggle? Will they come to your aid? No. This is why people are like so shocked, like that I keep my circle is very small, a group of people. I don't even think I've hit 100 yet. I don't even think, and I've had this for years, and I'm only now getting close. I think I'm like 70 something people, and I could have had way more people I could have had on my accounts, way more people I could have had on Facebook. There's like a list on my Instagram and on my Facebook of people who try to add me, and I just don't add, because when someone makes a post or someone texts me, I'm not going to ignore it because I know that person. I have a relationship with them and I want to get back to them. People have all these quote unquote friends or followers or people in their phone on social media, but nobody knows you. No one cares about you. No one's going to check up on you. If it's been a couple days and I haven't heard from my boy, I'm going to call him up. I'm going to text him like, hey man, everything good? Just checking up on you. And he'll do the same for me. Keep your circles small and intimate. Forget the friends, forget the followers. It's just vanity metrics that mean nothing to your life. None of them are coming to help you. Keep your circle as small as you can and as intimate as possible. That's how you actually maintain fulfilling relationships.
Shows up for me because it's foundational to trust. Who can I lean on? Do you have my back? Can I rely on you?
So do you think the partnered sex is in decline because they're still having sex, but they're doing it on their own now in
Partnered
various
sex
ways?
is in decline because social connection is in decline. Because people have less friends, because the statistics on who you call to when you are in trouble are really terrible. People have no one to confide in.
So how does that impact my sex with my partner?
Well, you won't have a partner usually. What this statistic says is that there is no partner. Young men before the age of 30 don't have sex with partners.
This one here from the British Medical Journal says that married couples in the UK and US report a steady decline in sexual frequency since basically the internet.
Yeah, so here's how this works. How much time do you spend in front of a screen during the day?
9 hours.
All right. And then you sometimes think, now I'm going to go home and I finally can close the screens.
Yeah.
But then you're so tired that all you can do is watch TV.
Yeah.
And then while you watch TV, you're also scrolling on your phone.
Yeah.
And then while you're watching TV and scrolling on your phone, there may be somebody sitting next to you that does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
All right. And then somebody may even say something to the other person who goes, uh-huh,
Doesn't look at them.
uh-huh. Very interesting.
Disconnected.
And you really wonder why people are having less sex?
It is hard.
Right? So people are experiencing at that moment what I've come to call ambiguous loss. Ambiguous loss is when I'm actually with somebody, but I don't feel the closeness, the intimacy, the connection from actually being with that person. I don't know if you're here or not here. Ambiguous loss is actually a term that was developed by Pauline Boss, a psychologist, who talked about it when you have a person who has Alzheimer or dementia, and they are actually physically in front of you, but they are emotionally or psychologically gone. Or people who are deployed or have disappeared, or miscarriage, where people are no longer physically there, but they are emotionally very, very present inside of you. In both cases, you don't know, are they here or are they not? Do I say goodbye or do I hold on?
I see.
When I am doing this,
Looking at your phone.
and I have like a still face, and I'm barely responding to you who said something that may be quite important, you don't know, are you here, but you're not present.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but I'm not experiencing any of the things that one experiences from the closeness of being with you, like Alzheimer, dementia. Physically there, but psychologically elsewhere. Because it's not just that you're not here, it's that you're in another world. You're gone somewhere. You may be talking to who knows.
I've experienced that. I remember that exact experience, actually. Just driving in the car, going on a date with my girlfriend at the time, and I just felt this, like, I just remember having the thought, like, there's a human being, like, next to me, this girl. And we were just at one point very connected, very just in tune with each other. And she's just sitting next to me on her phone, earbuds in. And it's like, we have like a 30-minute drive. We haven't said a word to each other. Like, there's no connection. There's nothing here. It's like she's here, but she's not here. And it's like, there was just like this weird experience of like, I should be connected with this person. I say I love this person through text, but it's like, there's just no emotional thing there. And it's just like, wow, just such a disconnect. But that might as well be an empty seat. Might as well be driving in the car alone. So I totally understand where she's coming from. This is why with me and my girlfriend now, we, when we're together, like, no phones. No phones. We don't even want to be on our phones. It's not even something that we've had to, like, tell each other or come up with a rule for. We just naturally don't want to be anywhere near our phones. We're just locked in. Nothing but communication. It's just, we're locked in. There's no, oh, let me check my phone while the commercial. No, we're watching the commercial together, laughing about it. And I think more people just need to put down the phone.
And I guess this is from reading your work, this is the crux of many an argument. The argument might sound like, oh, you didn't put the toilet seat down, but it's actually linked to something else, something deeper under the surface. I just see, specifically when me and my partner have been away from each other for a long time, and then we come back together, I always know we're going to argue for the first like 1 or 2 days. It's not even going to be an argument. It's going to be, there's going to be a problem. And the problem is usually around expectations, which is I come in and my head is still like I'm still a million miles away, maybe on a different frequency, thinking about lots of things. And I think she comes into that space expecting connection, and I let her down. And we've tried to like call it out and say, listen, when we come back together, let's just, both make an effort in that direction. But going back to your point of ambiguous loss, it's almost like she's trying to test if I'm connected to her. And I sometimes don't do a good job of that because of how I come into that space. Like, for example, right now I'm filming Dragon's Den, which is a TV show in Manchester. And so I film 3 or 4 days a week, morning till night. The minute I get off from it, I'm back with her. So you can imagine everything hits me at once. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like all of my team, all the to-do lists, everything. Steve, we need you to sign this off all at once, but then I'm back in front of her. So she's experiencing that ambiguous loss. And the expectation was that we haven't seen each other for a while, so this is,
So the question is, can you carve out a half an hour that's clean, an hour that's clean?
So
You have to imagine that when you do what you do and it all is bleeding into each other and all your roles collapse into the same space, that it actually is doing something for you, to you, not for you, to you. And that to actually close the phone, tell people to call you in an hour, you won't miss a thing, and to actually drop in of oxytocin, of well-being that is way more important or as important as every supplement you may be swallowing.
Yeah, because it's true. I do.
It's not just for her.
Yeah, I am excited to see her, and I am excited to connect in here. You said it correctly. Like I just I try and multitask,
Yes.
and I let everything down.
Yes, the boss, the podcaster, the this, the that, and the boyfriend is all in the same thing. It's an indigestion.
So you're a fan of scheduling clean time to do things?
Oh yeah. You can call it scheduling, you can call it demarcation, you can call it delineation. We are social creatures who really orient ourselves in time and in space. When everything happens to us at the same time, we get headaches. They're not always experienced as headaches, but in fact, we get a confusion inside. We're not here, we're not here, we're not here, we're not here. It's just okay? So you can call that scheduling, or you can call it that, when you go, you prepare yourself for that. It's an activity that comes with a role, that comes with a set of things, that comes with a delineation of time, that makes you go to a certain space where you're going to go do that thing. And this happens when you go out at night, when you go out for dinner, the same thing is for home. It's if you are going to spend a moment with her, however short it is, if it's clean, and present, not just kind of semi-there, ambiguously present, it will change a lot of things for you, for her, and for the two of you.
Before we sat down today, I messaged a group of 10 of my closest friends. I put them all in a group chat, and I told them I was going to be speaking to you today. So I said to them, can you tell me what question you have for Esther Perel? These are all 10 of my best friends that you wouldn't ever say out loud. How can I be satisfied with just one sexual partner? I have been unfaithful with my partner in the past, and I feel guilty about it. Should I tell them? I no longer find my partner attractive, but I don't know how to tell her. I love her, but I don't find her attractive. Those are probably the most interesting ones.
Tough.
I think the one that I would probably address is also about the infidelity and about your guilt. And also to this person, read State of Affairs, because I spent many years writing this book about infidelity and trying to offer a very nuanced perspective on this very subject. But here's the thing. To tell somebody something just because you don't have a clean conscience and you feel guilty isn't always the kind thing to do. Ask yourself what will happen to your partner or to your relationship, for that matter, if you speak about this now, and who you're doing it for. I think honesty sometimes is extremely caring and at other times can be very cruel.
I agree.
It cleanses you and it destroys another person.
Yeah. Like if I was struggling with like guilt to that degree and I knew what I was going to tell them was going to like destroy them, like and they were going to have to go through like months if not years of like wrestling with the betrayal that I did, I would prefer to just leave. I'd prefer to make something else up and just end the relationship or and just leave, because the pain from that would be way less than whatever betrayal I did. Because like she's right. And then it also depends on the person too, because like for me, if someone betrayed me, I'm a person who values truth over, pain. So I'll take the pain. I prefer the truth. Tell me. If it hurts me, it hurts me. Fine. I'd rather have the truth. Ignorance is bliss is not me. I'm the opposite of that. I need to know, no matter how painful it is. But I know for some people, like, this is why you'll hear some women say, you hear a lot of it on like these podcasts where like, if he cheats, if he's out there doing his thing, that's fine. It's not fine, but I'd rather not know. As long as I don't know, then it's not in my reality. It can't affect me, because once someone is aware, it can do irrevocable damage. And so sometimes telling the truth is not the best answer, because yeah, it will free you. You got that off, you gave them. When the kinder thing to do, if you truly loved that person, would probably just been to leave or just not say anything and fix what you've done. Now, it sounds messed up, but you got to think about what you're about to do and how that's actually going to impact the other person. Not everybody is like me, where they value truth over pain. Not everybody's like that. Some people, that pain will be, some people, like I've talked to guys where it's like, I wish, they've got cheated on, or either they were cheated on or their wife had an affair, and they're just like, bro, I wish I never knew. Like, we had a good family, we had a good thing going, and we've been together for so long. Anymore. I also read a lot of forums, so I hear what these guys write out, and they write out these long stories, and even the affair happened 10 years ago, and then now the relationship's been going good. They've been in love. He never knew. Somehow he finds out, and he's just like, man, I wish I never knew. I wish I never knew, because the pain of knowing is worse than the betrayal. It's a very complex thing. You got to really think about what you did and then the person, how they're likely to take it.
Deal with your responsibility and deal with your guilt and face the consequences of your behavior, and treat your partner with all the good things that actually say, I now am willing to really invest in here and make up for what I did, without having to destroy the narrative of the relationship. Because everybody has a story about their relationship. Everybody has a set of shared assumptions about their relationship. And you are going to come in and just say, last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, I did X, Y, and Z. And from that moment on, you rob the other person of their narrative. You may think you did something that was honest, and sometimes that is the case. But many times, you actually create an enormous amount of hurt. If you feel guilty, it's not bad. Deal with your guilt. Face it, take your responsibility, and make your relationship the best relationship you can, and honor your partner in that way. Don't honor them by putting your dirt onto them. That is a different way of saying, and that is not for everyone. But I think that it is an important perspective to include here.
Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis.
We live in this era where transparency supposedly is the best model for everything, and people dish stuff out on other people that destroys them.
Yeah, it's like certain truths. Like, for example, you might be feeling a certain way about your partner, or, sexual performance. It might be just certain thoughts you have. Certain thoughts, no matter what they are, some of them are just supposed to stay in your head. So some of them, there's no healthy way to like say it in a way that won't do like serious damage. Some things you're supposed to keep in your head. And that's it.
In the name of. And when you're no longer attracted to your person, ask yourself, what is that about? Are you paying attention? Are you thinking like, I look at you and I should just instantly have a response, And sometimes it's also because I haven't really taken a good look. And sometimes it's because what I'm looking at isn't necessarily anymore what draws me in. And sometimes it's not, attraction is a very fluid thing. It comes and goes. When I'm angry at you, I'm not nearly as attracted to you as when I'm looking at you being so kind to someone and I say, what a great person you are. And I just want to come in and I run over and I want to hug you and I want to hold you. That's attraction too, right? We're not just talking about the attraction to have sex with somebody. Attraction is part of a story. It's part of a context. If you think that you're just going to watch Netflix for 3 hours, scroll on your phone for another 2, and then turn around and say, "Oh, you're so attractive, and I'm so turned on by you," you're off. You're off. This is not the way that it works.
Yeah.
And then it's easy to replace the person and to just think, new shiny object. We will be very attracted again. But attraction is a part of an interaction. These two words have the same etymological root. If there is zero interaction, now, if you have a partner who neglects themselves, a partner who, there's lots of things that people also do that diminishes them. There was a woman in an event I just did, relationship, and so she said, "I'm no longer attracted," which is not the same as I have no desire. Basically, she had no desire. And she said, "But we've talked everything out, we've discussed it." I said, "Yeah, you may have discussed it, but your body shut down. Your body carries the anger, your body carries the hurt, your body carries the feelings, and your body doesn't want to open. So obviously, it's not over." So that's too is attraction.
It is one of the most popular things that men whisper to me in silence, which is, they can't seem to get there. And listen, I'm saying men because the majority of my good friends that would whisper to me are men. So it might be the case for women too. I just can't speak to that. Be faithful for a prolonged period of time, and have one partner for a prolonged period of time.
I think that would be an interesting thing to tell your men friends. Women get bored with monogamy much sooner than men.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not what men think.
No.
Yeah, see, that's that's a red pill truth right there. See, that's one of the things you learn in the red pill. Women get bored with relationships a lot faster. For sure. Absolutely, 1,000%.
Men think she's not interested in sex. And what they should probably replace it with is that she's not interested in the sex she's going to have. In order to want sex, it needs to be sex that is worth wanting. For women to remain interested, it needs to be interesting. And so the fact that women don't necessarily experience the same liberties, at least historically and culturally, in their homes, and they are not as unfaithful because there's been a double standard around infidelity forever, everywhere in the world.
Yeah, well, that's no longer the case anymore. They are absolutely, cheating. Like, most cheating stories I hear are from men, and I'm around men and women. It's the men who right now who are getting cheated on the most by far. And I believe that in the next couple of years, the data is going to show that. And the graph is going to be skewed in such a way where it's like very obvious. Because I remember the last study that came out, men and women in terms of cheating were like close to each other, like off by like a 5 or 7%, but they were like right up close to each other. And then that's not even accounting for the cheating that doesn't get caught. And women, by their own admission, are better cheaters than men. I see so many TikToks of women talking about how women are sneakier, women get away with it better. Both people cheat, women just don't get caught. So if we're which is true, women are far better at sneaking around. You'll never know. If a woman wants to get away with cheating, bro, you just never know. Get off work, smash a guy in the car, you'll never know. He's not going to blow up the spot. A chick that the guy's sleeping with, if the guy's cheating, the girl, she's emotional, she might fall in love with you, or she might get jealous of your girlfriend. She might, you might do something wrong on her end, so she'll try to send something to your girlfriend to clue her in that you're cheating. Like, it's way messier when the guy is trying to cheat with a girl than if the girl is trying to cheat with the guy, because the guy's not trying to get her caught, because he wants to continue to have the sexual access. So he's going to help her get away with the cheating. He's going to work alongside her to make it a smoother process for her. He's not trying to mess that up. On the other hand, though, so women can, like night and day, they just way better at getting away with cheating. So if we account for all the cheating that goes under the unnoticed and unseen, undocumented, I would say women are cheating at a way higher scale than men. But yeah, no, I agree. I agree with what she's saying, but that has culturally shifted. I think it's been different for a long time. I believe women are definitely the cheating majority right now.
For this particular friend of mine, where is that message? What should I say to him when he says, how can you be satisfied with one sexual partner? That's literally, just so you know that I'm not just...
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, but some people at home might think that it's like me as a proxy of...
But maybe you're not. Maybe you're not. Maybe you want to have more partners. Maybe you want your partner to have other partners. That's right.
They've been together, I think, 25 years.
So,
they've been together for a while.
You may have sometimes frustrations. There's a few options, right? You either say, we have a relationship that can welcome other people. We're not exclusive.
But she's going to leave then.
Because she doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next thing is, as best as you can, make it as interesting and as fun and as pleasurable as it can be. And my first question to you is, have you been doing the same old for God knows how many years?
More than likely,
with that in mind, I wouldn't be surprised that you're not that attracted, or that she's not that interested for that matter. So if you want to be satisfied or more satisfied, I mean, you have a dialogue, and the more satisfied means bring more of yourself and make this experience more erotic, more pleasurable, more playful, more fulfilling. You may remain frustrated, and you may say, I would love to have other people. And for that matter, maybe your partner would want it too, but that's not the kind of relationship that she wants. That doesn't mean she hasn't thought about other people. And it certainly wouldn't mean that if she fantasizes about you. So everybody is keeping their secrets here, And then the next thing is, are you putting more emphasis on the fact that you're not as satisfied having one sexual partner, or are you putting more focus on the fact that you're going to make this sexual experience with your partner as pleasurable and rich as can be? If you find yourself more on the complaining side, then you're going to be constantly more dissatisfied.
I think much of it is actually he and many others want the best of all worlds, and in life we're not willing to accept trade-offs.
Yeah.
So you're saying make a decision. If you want that life, then be honest about that life. If you don't want that life, then
but I'm also
make it
saying
spicy and best.
Invest in that thing to make it better.
Yeah, that's the other alternative.
If you're bored with the food you eat, go buy other food and cook at home and make it more rich and more interesting. If you don't want to have the same dinner every night in the house. The question is, what are people doing to make their relationships more vibrant, more erotic, more alive? I mean, this is really... by the way, it's not about having more sex. You can have more sex and not feel much. What work is about is cultivating the eroticism and the aliveness in relationships on the personal front. And you ask people, what do you do to make it rich and interesting? And you find the laziness, the complacency, the constant same old, and then the complaint about it. And then you say, that is really self-defeating.
That's true. I mean, after 25 years, yeah, I mean, that's just going to be an obstacle almost every couple's going to have to tackle at some point. 25 years, I mean, that's a beautiful thing if you can be in a relationship for that long. But there's going to be certain obstacles that you're going to have to contend with. I mean, 25 years of only sleeping with one person, and especially, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. And then keeping the bedroom exciting and fun and thrilling and coming up with new things to do, like, you're going to have to actively come up with ways to spice things up. Actively. The easy route would be just to give up on it and just, all right, let's go see other people. But that would be kind of a spit in the face to, like, the relationship and how much you've put in and the time, like, how long you've been together. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. You're going to have conversations. You're both going to have to work at it. But I think if you lasted 25 years, bro, it's worth it. It's worth having a conversation, you guys working together to bring the bedroom back to life.
Are you frustrated with people, Estelle?
No, I smile at it.
It's the same.
I smile at the way that we can lie to ourselves. I smile at the way we can complain about others, and as if we have no implication. I smile at the way we don't want to take responsibility for actually getting the things that we really want.
You must see the same patterns over and over again.
Those ones I do, not all, but this kind of pattern, which is actually why I've expanded from only working in the romantic sphere to working also in the workplace, because relationships are richer than just this. And I think that this friend, I would have a 5-minute conversation with him, and I would ask him these very questions. I would ask the partner also those very questions. And I would have a few ideas. It's not uber complicated. You're going to record me to him?
No, I'm just... Okay. What would you say to him?
What's his name?
I should probably...
Or a name?
Let's call him John.
John. So, yes, John, we are not necessarily... curious only about one partner. Many people would like to have other partners. In the context of your relationship, that is not an option for you, as I understand. So if that is the situation, and you really deeply care about your partner and your relationship with her, then the next question is, what do you do to energize your relationship, to bring playfulness, curiosity, imagination, eroticism, as in life force, as in aliveness, not as in sex, to your relationship? Are you bringing the leftovers home and the best of yourself goes to work? Or are you also bringing your creativity, your energy, your curiosity to your relationship? My sense is that if you do that, there is a good chance that you will actually have a more satisfying erotic connection with your partner. That doesn't mean you won't have interest, curiosity, fantasies about others, but it will free you from this position in which you just kind of say, I'm bored, I'm not satisfied, I would like a little more diversity and all of that. And just for you, do not imagine that you're the only one in your relationship who thinks this way and wants this. It's just that you may have a partner who doesn't want the consequences of it. That doesn't mean she wouldn't fantasize about the plurality herself.
I'm going to send that. Please.
Ad hoc intervention.
Yeah, just need a honest response.
Have you ever done that?
No.
On your podcast?
Response.
And Perel said, women are often more quickly bored with monogamy than men.
That's true.
That is the secret that people do not understand. That means that in order for her to remain engaged, it has to remain more engaging and interesting and fun and pleasurable. And if it's just to get it done and just to do it for the sake of doing it, then she really can often spare it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we talk about this in the Red Pill space too. Like, women get bored of monogamy sooner, which is why we see the divorce rates as what it is. Women want monogamy because it's the means in which they get the security, the financial security. That's what they really want. They want the financial security. Once they have it, and once they marry the guy, on the way out the door, they take the financial security with him. This is why they're so willing to leave. If the financial security was cut off if they left the man, then they would be less likely to leave. But since women know I'm going to get half of his assets, I'm going to get child support and alimony, this is why they're willing to leave, because the main thing that they're searching for is not the monogamy. Men think, oh, women want commitment in relationships. No, they want what comes as a byproduct of that, the security and the protection and security, the money, the resources. That is what they're after. But if they can have that and not be a part of the relationship, they'll take that option, which is why they leave, which is why they get bored. Men think that they just want the results would look very different if that was the case. But hey, guys, I appreciate you guys who are watching. I appreciate you guys joining the stream. If you could do me a favor and like the video, I'm trying to get the channel to 1,000 subscribers. And when you like the video, it helps with engagement. So I'd really appreciate you guys to help me out with that.
And while men are much more able to remain, actually, contrary to what he describes, to remain interested. That doesn't mean they don't want others as well, but they can remain more interested in their partner without having to change it like that. And it is interpreted as women are less interested in sex, rather than women need more in order to remain interested.
Mm-hmm.
They need more of the emotional stuff, right?
Not necessarily, not only. They need more imagination, more risque, more connection, more attention, more of a lot of whatever is her thing.
That's why you gotta keep gaming your girl, bro. Like all the emotional stimulation you gave her when you first met her, taking her out on dates, treating her like you just met her, you know what I mean? Like, be flirty with her, like, run. It sounds crazy, but you gotta run game on her. Make it feel like you're still in the dating process. Once you get to that point where it feels like, okay, we're just here now, we're just locked in, none of us have to really do anything to keep the other here because I just expect you to be there. That's when people start feeling taken for granted, not appreciated, not seen. And yeah, it just starts lacking on both ends. Knowing the facts that women get bored easier, men, we're going to have to just do our part to keep them stimulated. They're emotional creatures that need their emotions stimulated. So continue to, I don't want to say run game. That might sound a little bit too tacky, but I would say continue to date her in the same way that got her interested in the first place.
Right. Okay.
And she needs to do the same for you, by the way. That's not a one-way street. I'm not one of these happy wife, happy life guys. She needs to continue doing the things that keeps you stimulated and keeps you interested.
It's turned it around for me, because once you begin to look at it like that, it plays with this classic gender division: men want, women doesn't. Boring. It's like it becomes true just because we say it all the time, but that doesn't mean it is. This is true for a lot of these gender things.
So my friend replied, and the essence of what they said, yes, he said, she's right, full stop. The intimacy in our relationship has neither anymore. We're so used to the relationship being off.
Okay, put the mic on.
Okay. Yep.
All right, John, here's what I would suggest. I think that you can just simply say, Steve approached me and asked me if I had a question for Esther Perel. And I just threw out this thing. At first, I was just kind of flippant about it. I just thought, what do you do when you know? But in fact, when she answered, I realized, that this is a bigger thing between us. And this is an emptiness and a gap that we allowed to create and that I have contributed to. And I don't just want to leave it at that. So I thought, I'm going to sit down and actually write to you. I want to just write some of my thoughts, because I think when we sit, we avoid the subject, we circle around it, or I avoid it, or I'm defensive about it, or anyway, whatever it is that I've done. I don't know you enough, John, to know the details of that. And then you just really say, something died a long time ago and I feel awkward about it, but I miss it, and I miss you, and I miss us, and I would like to know if you are willing to re-engage with me and for us to rekindle. Its desire goes through intermittent eclipses. It's like the moon. It disappears, but it can reappear. And I would love to invite you to re-engage with me, to bring back the light, the spark inside of us, because we can do it. We are more than just this, and because just living side by side, I don't think is going to be it. Would you be willing to do yours?
That was beautiful.
That was a good response.
That was beautiful.
And then let's see if he still answers us before we end.
You could tell she's been doing this for a long time.
I made the biggest investment I've ever made in a company because of morning.
Let's skip ahead
And simple community
here.
launch. 100 you have extended, quite frankly, either member of the couple that they
There we go.
don't like having sex.
Not more than before. I wrote
Oh,
a
really?
book 20 years ago that was all about the dilemmas of desire.
You've always heard it.
I always heard it. No, I don't think that there are fundamental changes around that. I think the changes are the fact that people are spending less time together where they are actually attentive to each other. They're half there. Their attention is fragmented. They're multitasking all the time. That's what is changing. And if you have less connection, less attention, less intimacy, why do you think that people are suddenly going to be turned on?
But is the sex getting less interesting?
No, their life with each other is less interesting. And this last time when I spoke to
Yeah,
you
I
like
said,
this, you
"Why are you
told me,
shouting
why are you shouting at me? Their life is less interesting. The sex is the consequence of 7 other things before. God, they haven't said anything interesting to each other. They haven't laughed. They haven't kissed each other. They haven't looked at each other. They haven't barely touched each other. And suddenly the sex needs to freaking basis. Their life is not interesting. Their communication, their interaction, their conversations, their attention to each other, the fact that they matter, the fact that their presence means something in each other's lives. That's what is all connected to long-term sex. Long-term sex doesn't come just from because I look at you and I'm all hot.
Yeah, especially as time goes on in the relationship, of course you're gonna still need to be sexually attracted to your partner, but when you're young and hot and it's early in the relationship, it's easy to just one look and you're just ready to go. Doesn't matter. But as like he said, like a 25-year relationship, like you've been through so much, you guys both changed. Your bodies have changed. You should still be in shape, but it's going to take more than just a look to like spark that. There's going to have to be a far deeper connection to keep that spark alive, just expecting to just to snap of a finger and you're in the mood for sex. No, that's most likely not going to be the case. But I don't even think most marriages don't even last 25 years. Like my parents have been together. It's over 25. If I'm not mistaken, over 25. But I only know a handful of couples like that have stood the test of time like that. It's very rare nowadays.
It's a different mechanism. So you're asking a question that happens here. And I am telling you, if all of this is rather boring and unengaged, it's like at work. I'm doing a lot of this stuff around work now. It's like if the engagement is low, on what basis do we think people are going to perform? The performance is here, but the performance is a response to the engagement, which is a response to the culture, which is a response to the quality of the relationships between the people who work together. It's the same in the personal realm.
What element of responsibility do I have in making sure that my relationship with myself is great in order to have a great relationship with someone else? Because a lot of people like to blame.
I think the premise is inaccurate.
Okay, fix my premise.
The premise is that it's time for us to begin to question the intense level of individualism and self-thinking, self-love, self-care, self-fulfillment, self-awareness. It's all about the self in front. And the presumption is that if all those levels of the self have been attended to, we will be better able to attend to other people.
So what do you think about this culture of self-care
me.
and self-love?
I
And
think it's
me,
gone
me.
overboard.
All about me.
I think it's a distortion.
Instead of family, instead of community, instead of us, it's me. Let me fill my cup, and once my cup is filled, then I could focus on you. Then I can focus on the family. Once I get my career, once I'm happy, once I've traveled stuff, it's like, but the me, once you point everything inward, just trying to fulfill the self-gratification, that cup, you can always fill the cup. The cup is never going to reach a point where it's finally filled, because there's endless things that you could want, endless opportunities, endless ventures. So you just end up being this vacuum of just being unfulfilled. And then when you come into a relationship, maybe you, at one point you think, okay, I'm filled now. My cup is filled. I've done all the stuff for me now. Now I can get with a person. And then, but you're just been so accustomed to just pouring into your own cup that now it's gonna, in the relationship, you now need to focus on someone other than yourself, but you're out of practice. So now, when you have to focus on the family and sacrifice for someone other than yourself, you feel like, oh, I'm losing myself. Oh, I feel like I'm unfulfilled. I the things I want, you're just used to pouring into yourself. So once you stop, you're just out of practice. I wish I could put that into better words, but I hope you guys understand what I'm saying.
I think it feeds consumerism. I think that there's a lot of elements of it that are highly important, but we have completely lost the fact that what actually is at the root of well-being, happiness, longevity, meaning, is in our relationships and our connections with others as well as with ourselves. When you give to others, you will less depressed. When you feel like you make a difference in other people's life, it makes you feel better chemically too. If you go on the street and you give compliments to people and you tell them that they look really great or this is beautiful what they're wearing, and you've made a smile on someone's face, your oxytocin levels go up too. Doing for others makes us feel better about ourselves as well. Not all the time, not every circumstance, but that voluntary connecting and being engaged with other people. Whereas being engaged with oneself. Have you seen at the gym how people are super engaged with themselves, lifting, but nobody's interacting with anybody?
Mm-hmm.
And many of these people go home and there's nobody there. Huh? It's not like they're doing this for someone that's waiting for them. Relating to yourself is not a goal in and of itself. It is a step to something, but it's not. The goal is having meaningful relationships, meaningful connections with other people and other causes that are beyond yourself. Part of why we are so miserable and so unhappy is because we are so constantly focused on ourselves. There's the world, there's nature, there's politics, there's climate, there's people, there's poverty, there's a ton of things to be interested in. There's art, there's creativity, there's a lot of things that are beyond us, that is beyond maximizing and optimizing and hacking and focusing on myself and navel-gazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a therapist, and I work with individuals who I am helping to have a better relationship with themselves and deal with what stands in the way to relate to others, not what stands in the way to feel good about me.
Yeah.
Period.
With gender roles reversing,
So
have
true.
you seen men get increasingly and have you seen also the woman get sort of frustrated with the man because he's now not the breadwinner? There was this stat I saw that said, again, rough numbers, 70% of women expect the man to be the breadwinner. But then there's this bigger social narrative that actually no 50-50 or, equality is the case. And I was sat here with a guy who runs the Men and Boys Clinic. I think it's called the Men and Boys Institute or something, Richard Reeves. Mm-hmm. And Richard Reeves was a stay-at-home dad. And then his partner, and doing all of this work about men and equality that, a self-proclaimed feminist, I believe. Mm. And then his wife turned around to him one day and was like, and I've heard this quite a lot. I've heard from my successful female friends that part of the reason they think they can't find a man is that men feel emasculated by their success.
I don't think so.
And on the counterpoint, I'm wondering if it goes the other way.
Can I take this a little differently?
Sure, please, whatever.
Emasculation has always been a masculine concern.
Yeah.
Which is part of why I said to you that masculinity is an identity that constantly has to prove itself. Mm-hmm. If it was so solid, it wouldn't have to constantly have to show you that it really is serious and it's the real thing. There is, those things do not translate on the feminine side.
That's very true. That's very true. Masculinity does have to prove itself, but that's because masculinity is tied to well, I mean, just look at masculinity. Everything that a man has to do is proving himself. Getting the girl, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself in the dating market, prove yourself strength-wise. Who's the strongest? There's competition, there's hierarchy. If a man says, if a woman says, I'm feminine, like she says that, we never question it. There's no metrics in which we're looking at to determine whether or not she's feminine. She can present herself however she wants. She can live whatever lifestyle she wants and still claim femininity, because there isn't really a list of metrics that need to be met. But when you talk about masculinity, if you say I'm masculine, immediately we're thinking, okay, how strong are you? What are your accomplishments? How capable are you? Where do you rank up in this area and that area amongst other men? How competitive are you? There is a set of metrics that equal masculinity. You have to prove it. It's true. It is true. I definitely agree with that. Masculinity is always it's always being challenged, and it must always prove itself. I mean, even for women, masculinity must prove itself. To even get the girl interested, you have to prove yourself, prove your masculinity, with whether that be with finances, whether that be with your strength, your ability to protect, your ability to be more dominant than the other man. You have femininity, not so much. Not so much.
The word loser doesn't exist in the feminine either. And this is historical.
She said the word.
Loser doesn't. There is, those things do not translate on the feminine side. The word loser doesn't exist in the feminine either.
That's true.
And this is historical. This is not new. That men have had the challenge with powerful women is not new.
The word loser doesn't exist in the feminine. That's so true. I think Myron mentioned that one time. And there's a lot of red pill truths being dropped right here. And I know I'm positing it a lot, but just touching on that, like, women aren't really held to a standard. They're not really held to a standard. A woman, there's no metric that they have to really, they don't have to prove themselves feminine. Men have to prove themselves. So by that very system, there will be winners and losers. This is why women, Myron says this all the time, women will be the male equivalent of, they'll be the female equivalent of a male loser, but they won't know it because there's no metrics for them. They could be a porn star, they could be a drug addict, they could be just 30, single, fat, unattractive, and in their eyes, I'm still a top tier valuable woman. In reality, they're a loser. But they don't know, they don't understand that because from their worldview, there's no metric that they really must adhere to. There's no metric. For us, there is. How much money do you make? How strong are you? How capable are you? Are you a leader? Are you dominant? Are you assertive? Can you fight? These things determine whether or not you're a winner or a loser, and your life, it will display that. Did you win in this area? Did you win in terms of finances? Did you win in terms of your physique? Did you win in terms of this? There's always different things you can look at to determine whether a man is a loser. Did he meet the metric that we've determined masculinity must meet, yes or no? If he's closer to yes, then he's a winner. If he's closer to no, then he's a loser. Femininity does not have any threshold to feminine. You could be any amalgamation of whatever attributes and traits, lifestyles, and still be considered feminine, but that doesn't work for the masculine.
That women have wanted men to be both powerful and nurturing is not new. That fathers have often been as tender toward their. I think that there's for me, the engagement with some of your question is that it plays into a whole discourse about men and women that at this point somehow puts them completely apart, each one kind of more and more angry at the other side, and I don't really want to participate in that. The women are talking about the useless this, and the men are talking about the bitches that, and I don't find that help. I think there are fathers and men all over the world doing everything they can to save their family, their wives, it has nothing to do just with how much they earn. The world is filled with people who want to give a better life to their family and to their children, men who work day and night in order to provide.
I agree.
And I think that to turn this conversation into that section that we are referring to, it's true, it exists, but it is not a fair rendering of husbands and of wives. That there is a group of women who are out earning the men, yes. Women have out earned the men for a long time in all kinds of industries, not just at the higher levels. That men have not been home as primary parents. I think gay couples have shown us a whole new range. It's like it's time to kind of move on a little bit.
Here's what's happening. Here's what I believe is happening. Women, they have an issue with the man making less money than them. For men, we don't have that issue. But they have that biological desire to be with a man who makes more. So when he doesn't, for them, okay, now there's a problem. There's an issue in this relationship for them. And then what will happen is they start to emasculate the man because of that. Because he makes less, I'm going to start emasculating him, and then will respond to her disrespect of him. And when he finally responds to that disrespect, she will take his response as, oh, he's only acting that way because he's insecure that I make more than him. But that's not the case. He isn't responding to the fact that you made more than him. That's not what made him respond in what you're seeing. He's responding to how you're responding to him making less than you. So the problem, the emasculation is coming from her treatment of him. The emasculation is not coming because of how much money she makes, but because women take their feelings about the idea of them making more and they superimpose that, they put that onto the men. They put that onto us. If I feel this way, then they probably feel this way too. No. There's plenty of guys, I even work with plenty of guys who have admitted to me proudly, happily, my wife makes more money than me. She's a nurse, or she works at this company. She makes way more than me. And he's happy. He has no problems with it. Zero problems with it. If anything, he's proud of her. And guess what? They're both contributing in their own way to the relationship. So it can work. I've seen it work. There is the data that shows that when a woman starts out earning her man, that is a strong correlation to the relationship ending. I'm not going to pretend like it's all just, sunshine and rainbows in that scenario. No, ideally, you still want to out earn. I would say it's best for the man to out earn the woman, to just maintain that natural dynamic. However, I'm simply talking about the topic in which the woman thinks men are insecure because of that. No, we're not insecure because of that. We're just upset that you're emasculating us because you're insecure because of that. But, this has been a really great video. There's actually quite a bit left to this, but I'm going to end the live stream with that. I'm going to link the full video in the description. Really good. I wish I had more time to watch the rest of it, but I appreciate you guys for joining the live stream. If you could do me a favor and like the video on your way in or like the video on your way out, if you're watching this later down the line, I'd really appreciate you guys liking the video, leave a comment for the engagement. I'm trying to grow the channel to 1,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate your guys' help with that. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Stay tuned tomorrow for another live stream, and until next time, guys,